So we might as well move on to our panel discussion, which is powered by innovation, how women are using technology to get ahead. Okay, this is going to be a really interesting one. So I want to call up our panelists one by one. Our first panelist is Claire Longo. Claire, come to the stage. Claire is an AI executive, startup advisor. She's actually like a whiz. She's a brilliant mathematician. She'll introduce herself to you a bit more after, but Claire Longo works with the MGM now, right, correct? Yes. Please give Claire a round of applause. Our next panelist is Kathia Katspor. Kat is a AVP of business, I can't read, where's my glasses? Business advisor at US Bank. Okay, give Kathia a round of applause, please, everybody. Okay, our third panelist, Catherine Wish. Catherine, where are you? Okay, on the ballot this June, Catherine is running for judge. Okay, so a lot of times you look at these ballots, you have no idea who these people are. Well, Catherine's here. Okay, all right. Carissa Begonia. Okay, oh, there, good, I thought you left the room. All right. Carissa is a business coach and a LinkedIn strategist. How many of you use LinkedIn here? I know I do. I live on LinkedIn. Let me tell you, she taught me something the other day that I should have known that I didn't know, and I'm embarrassed about. Well, like, LinkedIn is such a great tool, and you can use it to do so many wonderful things. So chat with Katia after. And she's also part of Elevate Vegas, who are sponsoring our curated connections networking at the end of the panel. So thank you. All right, and our last panelist is Kadambari Bilwar. Kad Bilwar. Kad, welcome to the stage. Kad is the founder and CEO of Trust Healthcare. Thank you. All right. So I've got to do something real quick before I announce our moderator. Our wonderful moderator is Nadya Rousseau. And we have no sound. What happened? Okay. We have a boo-boo, Nadya. We have no sound. Nadya, no sound. I don't know what happened. Okay, well, you know what? Look at the beautiful video behind Nadya. Okay, I'm sorry. We're blocking the code as well. Listen, please welcome to the stage Nadya Rousseau. Technical issues here, but... All right, Nadya is the co-founder, purpose-driven founder of Alter New Media. So she can tell you about herself. Okay? Please do that. Okay. All right, give our panel a round of applause.
Yes. All right, let's get everything situated here. Hey, everybody. Does everyone still have energy up in here? Woo! All right. Well, I'm really excited for this conversation. Sorry, our video was glitching out. I don't know what happened there, but, c'est la vie. It's all good. So today we are going to be talking about a very relevant subject, how innovation powers us, how women are leveraging technology to get ahead. But I think, even the phrase get ahead, it's somewhat loaded, right? It's like, what does that even mean? We hear a lot of phrases these days: impact, make a difference, change, and get ahead. What does that mean? I think it means a lot of different things for each of us. I think it is very subjective. But as Lorraine pointed out earlier, it wasn't too long ago that women, we didn't have the access that we have today, and there's still a lot of work to be done, right? And I think in my case, like, my business would not be where it is today if it were not for technology. So because my video was tragically not working. Alter New Media is a tech-driven visibility ecosystem. We support disruptive founders, creators, and organizations with being more visible, and we do that through supporting them with brand identity, through cultivating thought leadership, through PR, and we also are pretty deep in the creator economy. So currently we are building infrastructure around creator monetization. I have deep roots in entertainment. I resided in Los Angeles for 14 years. I actually was an actor and a model for a number of years before pivoting to freelance journalism and production. Alternate Media was originally established as a production company before we kind of converged the worlds of marketing and production, and then we were all the things. And we grew very quickly, so we have generated multiple seven figures in revenues since 2018. We've served over 1,000 companies worldwide, and it was all because of technology. A lot of people ask, like, oh, so did you go remote post-COVID? I'm like, we were always remote, y'all. We have had clients and team members spanning the entire world. So we've had team members in East Africa and West Africa and the Philippines and India. We've had clients in, I think, over 50 countries. So if it were not for technology, none of that would be possible. And today with AI, I mean, that's all we hear, AI, AI, AI. And AI is a big part of my business. So we configure custom GPTs for all of our team members so they can have their own AI assistants. We do it for our clients. And we are configuring a GPT to develop a price tiering system for the creators that are seeking monetization. So real quick before we dive into this panel, because we have a lot of diverse perspectives up here, which is super cool, I briefly want to survey the room. You can shout out words like, what does getting ahead mean to you? Because for me, it means, being more efficient, being able to be more creative. And, sometimes when we hear get ahead with respect to women, people automatically go, oh, you're trying to get ahead of men and blah. And I'm like, relax. Like, we're just trying to get shit done, okay? So I would love to hear from you. Like, just call out a couple of things. Like, what does getting ahead mean to you? Just, shout it out. Don't be shy.
Preparation.
What was that?
I said preparation.
Preparation. Well, we know our panelists are going to have something to say. That's obvious. So I want to hear from you ladies. Just shout out a couple of things.
I was going to say time management.
Yeah, time management for sure. And I think also within that, life management. Who's using AI right now to literally manage your life? I have a life coach, okay? Don't hate. She helps me out. I'm this person was really mean. What do you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and there's just so many tools now. It's wild. So yeah, what I would like to do to kick off this panel is obviously Lorraine introduced everybody, but I want to hear a more in-depth intro from each of you, your name, what company you represent, what you do, and what does it mean, what does getting ahead mean to you in terms of leveraging technology? So we'll start with you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Kadambari Bilwar, and I'm CEO of Trust Health. Trust Health is AI-powered medical device platform. What we do is catch early signs of infection, post-surgery, or wound infections much more before any visible sign comes up. So we want to give a little heads up to patients and doctors before a patient deteriorates. Now, where it concerns getting ahead, to me, I think my answer is a little more philosophical, because I think every person is made up of, in a way, more or less three parts. There's self, there's your family, and your career around it, right? So in every aspect, you're trying to use technology. A tiny example, for myself, I do use the AI to manage my health quite significantly. For my family, I basically use it to just manage, and for example, when I'm planning my dinners out. And for business-wise, we are always using technology just because, to catch these early signs, we have to use AI technology so that we are able to predict what happens. So for me, getting ahead in all aspects, what I've realized, I've come to conclusion, because, I'm not 20s anymore, where it's more focus centric, I want to get ahead, be prepared for my exam. It's now more become how much of impact I can make to all the circles. How many lives can I touch? And that helps out when you're in healthcare, because in healthcare, the mission is so clear. How many patients can you help? How many children you can impact? In my previous life, I managed Stanford Children's Health. So I didn't need any motivation, because to see children getting healed is motivating enough. So that's how we use technology, in all aspects of life. Basically, different tools for different reasons, but overall, technology is a very common factor for all these things. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Carissa Begonia, like the flower, and my company is called Conscious Exchange. I also have another company community called the Thought Leadership Collective, and I am part of Elevate Las Vegas here in Las Vegas. And so the kind of common thread here for me is that I am a community builder and a community building networking advisor, so helping people build relationships, build networks that are mutually beneficial. And why this has become a more important values, Christy, I love that you talked about values, because I also believe that is kind of the foundation to what you end up doing and how you create your work, your business, your life. I talk about finding values vetted relationships and communities, not just aligned or not just driven, but really curating for people that are and relationships that are, again, mutually beneficial. And so to me, getting ahead and using technology, why also I was introduced as a LinkedIn expert, is because I use technology, particularly use LinkedIn as the tool for me to meet all these values aligned folks, right? All these values, and create my values vetted community. And a lot of us are business owners here, or if we're not business owners, we're in corporate America. It's all about relationships at the end of the day. You don't have to actually be the smartest in the room, the most talented in the room, right? And I think in my 20s, I maybe strived for a lot of that. I'm also a daughter of immigrants. I'm Filipina, if anyone Filipinos are in here, yeah. And that was something we were taught to be and to do, is work hard. And we know as you get further into your career, further into business, that's not what it's all about. But actually what it's really about is leveraging your powerful networks. And so my current meeting getting ahead to me is actually not trying to be an expert at everything anymore, because you can't as a business owner, right? You have to your value, your lane, what you do, but it's actually leveraging other folks, other experts, and having them come into your world. So that's what it really means to me to be to get ahead, or is to find the right people in my world, or who I want to bring into my world, so I actually can have a life. At the end of the day now, again, I'm in my 40s too, and my health is more important to me. I'm going through perimenopause. I was just talking about, having hot flashes over there in the corner, right? There's other priorities now, including being around my family, including spending time outdoors. I love to hike and camp. How can I spend more of my time doing that? And now how can I leverage technology, leverage LinkedIn, leverage AI to be able to do all the business things I need to do, find the other experts in the room that can help me do that, so that I can go have my life.
I will piggyback off that. I want a life too. My name's Catherine Wersch. I am currently, I'm a lawyer, I'm a mother, I'm a baker for my sanity. I'm currently a hearing commissioner, and I carry a very heavy caseload. I represent the courtroom that covers 3,000 patients who are hospitalized in our county for mental health crisis holds. So every person that is not allowed to leave the hospital because they're either a danger to themselves, a danger to others, or unable to care for themselves is coming through my courtroom in one way or the other. And so my life becomes very busy. I am on the bench 5 days a week for rotating. So for me, when you say get ahead, I think preparation. I think the freedom of being very well organized, because I am a mother. My husband is a firefighter, so he leaves every 2 days. So every 2 days, I'm a single parent of 2 children. I am in my 40s. I had children later in life, and I am trying to relearn math. So there are many days where I pull out my chat GPT and I go, what are we doing today, chat? We are building a leprechaun, trap, and I've got 5, items. Tell me what I can creatively come up with. But looking at my schedule in advance, making sure I've got organization, that calendar is just got to be so well organized so that I can meet all the needs of the things that are going on. I think, I was thinking about how I'm using AI to advance myself in other areas. I'm currently running for judge in the city of Henderson, so if you live in Henderson, I'll be on your ballot. Right before the parks question, probably. So get your way all the way down to the bottom, vote for both. In the world of campaigning, it becomes all those marketing and contact points and sharing information and all of those things. And ChatGPT can do a lot of things with a little bit of information. On the legal side, if I put my attorney hat on, I go, be careful what you share, because everything you're sharing is now part of an open source. I mean, if you're using an open source AI app, then you're now just sharing all of that information to be used. It's now not confidential. I see that in the medical world. I see that in the legal world. We're seeing some case law come down that if an attorney is having some trouble writing their legal brief and they share all that information about their client and its details so that they can draft that well-organized and well-crafted legal argument, it's now been disclosed to a third party. It is now subject to ethical issues as an attorney, whether you're breaching the attorney-client confidentiality, but now it's discoverable, so it's going to be subject to subpoena and everything should be released. So if you say you were injured and you're trying to figure out, how to navigate, there's so many ways. In the mental health world, we're seeing that as therapy. I have people I know right now who refer to their therapist as chat. And what chat's telling them is this, and that. And we've seen some risks there. But that is all, I think it comes with a healthy, healthy balance. If you become aware, then you know what you're doing, you know what to utilize. Right now, my biggest use is math. If somebody could guide me on kindergarten math, I would really be appreciated. There we go, yeah.
So hi everybody, my name is Kat Spoor. I'm the Business Access Advisor with US Bank. And being ahead for me in the financial institution, it's if you're not a quarter ahead, you're 2 quarters behind. I always tell my partners that hey, you always need to be ahead. But the way the technology has evolved, especially in banking, has helped me reach out and help more business owners. I remember the time that I was meeting in person, putting an app, then meeting again, signing the loan, meeting again, how everything worked. Now it's a link. It's the conversation, the quality time that you spend with that business owner and with your partners to really get to know people, and then the technology flourish to help them more efficiently. I use ChatGPT, or Copilot. We use Copilot at the bank tremendously. Because of what? You want to do the right approach, especially if it's an industry that you're not well known. You can search it and get really good questions to ask to deep into that relationship and really help the business owner. So for me, it saved me time. My 8, 9 hours, 10 hours before, now in 5, I can do more than what I did in 9 hours before. And to me, it's a lifesaver, more life balance between home and work. So it's amazing.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Claire Longo. I am a mathematician by training. I'm an AI executive and startup advisor. I'm currently leading AI and automations for MGM. And my career has been completely centered around leveraging AI, even before we were calling it AI. So I started my career during the big data hype, and I saw how that really propelled businesses forward. And then I kind of seamlessly moved into the AI hype now. I say it's hype because it is a really powerful tool that we are figuring out how to use, and we're very excited about it, and we're misusing it, and we're properly using it. We're in this really amazing experimental phase where we're figuring out where it's going to add value into our lives. The way I've used AI to add value to my lives is kind of funny, because when I majored in math, everyone told me, oh, what are you going to do with that? There's nothing you can do with math. But actually, the AI algorithms are completely mathematical equations. So there's actually quite a bit I can do with math these days. So that is how I'm leveraging AI. I am building it from the ground up. But I also use it in my daily workflows. You mentioned Copilot. I hate writing emails. I have AI assistants help me write emails. And I feel like it is increasing productivity of everyone around me, and I'm excited to see how that grows.
So many solid perspectives. There's just so many use cases for AI now to make our lives easier. For example, I use Fireflies to record all of my meetings, and then I'll upload those transcripts into ChatGPT, crunch it down, and then send follow-up emails. There's different tools for different purposes, but as everyone shared, you do have to be aware of the risks as well. So that's really important. So now I want to dive into more specific questions for each of our panelists. So I will start with you. I would like to know, because I know you've done so much in the healthcare space. You scaled telehealth at Stanford Children's, and now you're building Trust Health, an AI-powered platform for post-surgical infection detection, which, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So what has it been like building in health tech as a woman, and how has technology been both your product as well as your engine for growth?
So building Trust Health has been extremely challenging and empowering, okay? And when you're a woman in entrepreneurship, you already know that you are going to enter rooms where you're going to be a minority. This is why less than 2% of investments go into women founders, although they have proven that they give you better return on a dollar and better efficiency. But then I realized a very important thing. Numbers don't have gender, which is why that is how I need to talk to communicate what I need to. So what I started doing, I started leveraging technology to show the data, the impact, the outcome, the valuation very clearly so we can speak the same language. And because of that, technology has been an equalizer. So when I enter the room, I don't have to prove my credibility by talking about my background. I could be dual masters, I could have what an MBA, but that does not matter till you land up showing the numbers which you are trying to prove. Now that comes to being a woman and using technology. Now when it concerns product, we've spoken about the fact that, Trust Health, we tend to catch signs of infection way before visible sign comes up to change the outcome of a patient. Now what happens is, as a patient, when you walk into the room, you're showing all your results, your reports to a doctor. A doctor is looking at your result individually and trying to compute all that. So there is challenges with computation and challenges with variability. Now imagine, what AI is helping out with. It's looking at millions of patients and trying to look at the 3D space and trying to analyze very complex biology and giving assessment. On top of that, it also analyzes the variability, so personalization, because we all know we all can eat the same thing, but we'll all have different results. So AI helps out with that equalizing as well. So because of that, technology has been super powerful to amplify what we do. Now, for example, earlier, any feature introduction, which we would do in software, would take months by the time you come out. Because of AI and being able to use all the AI tools and application, we are able to introduce features in days, let alone months. And our prototyping is a lot more faster, making a startup leaner. And guess what? Don't we all want to make our healthcare cheaper? So that is the whole sense where technology helps out quite a bit. And this is where women in technology can also prove how technology can take you further. And one most important fact, empathy, which a woman brings, is a massively big advantage because healthcare is based on empathy. So as long as you bring that along with technology, you already have an upper hand. Mm-hmm. So that's how technology has helped us. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, Krista, I know you are just an epic. I have a big mouth. I can make it happen. You've built so many communities, specifically supporting women and POC entrepreneurs, and you talk about the 5 currencies of visibility. 5 currencies of power, rather: visibility, authority, access, influence, and income. How has technology, and specifically platforms like LinkedIn, changed the speed at which women can build those ecosystems?
Thank you. So the first thing I want to talk about is power, right? So prior to becoming an entrepreneur, I left corporate America in 2018. I was the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion at Zappos. And that's where I started to really understand power, right? I had climbed the ranks and made a stink about not being one of the only women with a seat at the table, and I was like, where is everybody, right? And so I took it upon myself to do something about it. I created a women's group. I created, eventually, again, that became me pitching to the C-suite to become the head of DEI. So with that, I understood, like, when I have access to the heads of a company, when I have perceived power even, right? Because I'm on a stage or I'm organizing events or, I'm speaking and whatnot, right? I'm given access by those powers that be, right? I understood that there are things you need to be able to do to make the impact you want to make. Right, so that's why I came up with these currencies of power as a framework for myself, because I need to teach other people how to do this, and even how do I figure that out for myself? And so how does that translate now in the speed, right? You're talking about with LinkedIn in particular. So why I chose to even use LinkedIn was very, very intentional. Many people who come to me who want to work with me are like, I hate content creation. So I work with a lot of folks who are influential, who are experts at what they do, right? Have decades of experience, but they don't necessarily want to be an influencer, right? They don't want to be on TikTok. They don't want to be on Instagram. And I'm like, great, there's an alternative, and it's called LinkedIn. Because we all know that as business owners, we got to do social media of some sort. We got to market ourselves, right? And I intentionally chose LinkedIn for a few reasons. One, it's where the decision makers are. Let's just be real, right? Like, professionals are on here. I just came from the big conference, South by Southwest in Austin, and everyone asked me for my LinkedIn. No one asked me for my Instagram handle, okay? And it's where, again, the decision makers are. You can identify them. You can put in the search, what titles are you looking for? What companies do you want to try to find someone at, right? What's someone's name that you met in here, right? You can't necessarily tell what all that is on Instagram. You can't even tell if they're a real person or if they're a bot, So most people's profiles on LinkedIn are attached to their actual jobs. So at least still here for now, most of the people here are real. Right, and I really believe that, again, when you're going to grow your business, it's about finding the relationships, right? So I'm going to go quickly to the platform where I can find the decision makers, where people have more money. People generally have more money, the users of LinkedIn. Here's another thing: if you talk about saturation when it comes to marketing, right? So you get all worried about competitors on platforms like Instagram and Facebook and such. Less than 2% of users on the LinkedIn platform, there's 1 billion users on LinkedIn, are creators. So when we're talking about competition or we're talking about saturation, that's not a thing on LinkedIn. Most people are watching or learning, right? Less people are showing and doing. So you can still stand out. And how many of you are building personal brands? So not just your business brands, but personal brands. So if you all have businesses, I very much encourage you to also be developing your personal brand, because that is a trend that you're seeing across business. I know Nadya will attest to that, right? Because it's not just about your company. Think about some of the big companies, tech companies you even think about, right? Or even use Apple. Steve Jobs, you know about him just as much as Apple. Microsoft, right? At Tesla, you think about Elon Musk, whether you like him or not, right? But you think about these people, not just the brands and the companies that they created, that they founded, right? So it's becoming more and more important that the personal brand that you create, that's also pushing your business forward, right? So for me, again, using LinkedIn was a faster way for me to get power, to be able to create the visibility I needed with less competition, to be able to showcase my authority. I've been doing what I do for 20 years, right? So I can show that in my work experience. I can show that in my content, show that in client results and recommendations. And then even like access, at the end of the day, that's what you are looking for, right? You're all in this room probably to not just learn here, but most likely, more importantly, to network with folks who can probably get you into rooms, give you money, become a client, become a partner, right? Whatever. And so using LinkedIn specifically, you're probably gonna find each other like through that platform after today, right? And so be where the people are. so like I'm all about saving time and energy and money. And so even when you're thinking about your own like efforts, right? I don't know about you, but I want to try work less, spend less time on things that I don't even so much enjoy, which is a lot of us don't want to do the marketing. We want to do the delivery, we want to develop the product, right? So use the platform that's going to get you the fastest results. And to me, that's LinkedIn.
Where can we find you on LinkedIn?
I'm very easy to find. My name is pretty unique.
I love LinkedIn, specifically LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which many people's eyes glaze over when I mention that. Just as a heads up, it's one of the premium versions of LinkedIn, and it's where you can identify decision makers in very specific industry segments and cut around your first degree connect. So highly recommend looking into it. And to Carissa's point, personal brand is really important. I always tell people, like, don't develop a case of FFS. Please don't. FFS is an acronym I came up with for Faceless Founder Syndrome. This is especially prevalent with women who are pioneering forward mission-driven organizations or companies because they believe the cause is bigger than themselves. Well, guess what? People connect with people, and you are your company's most important ambassador, so you need to show up. You really do. So great points there. Thank you. So Catherine, on to you. You're doing so much impactful work in your world, and I'm curious, how is technology showing up in the legal and judicial space, and how has it impacted your own trajectory as a woman in law?
So I got into law. Well, my background was I come from an unhoused situation. I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. My dad got caught up in gambling and made some choices that ended us unhoused. At 15, I ran away. There are plenty of days where I go, how did I get here? How did I become a lawyer? How did I become well-spoken and not addicted to anything? And the moment of impact for me is looking at 15-year-old Catherine and saying, what was it that made me make that best decision? And it was the individuals that are around me. So at a very young age, I was able to identify like key adults in my life who said, here's the next best thing. So when I finally became a lawyer, that was my goal. It was to how do I help somebody get to the next right choice? I fell into the public service world. I did it for the empathy and the compassion and wanting to be able to tell someone's story, because I do believe that we don't all wake up one day and say, today's going to be the worst day of our lives. We're going to go commit a crime and get arrested, or we're going to, break the law in some way. I think there's a journey that we take to get there. It's kind of how I ended up in this niche of mental health and substance abuse. But when I looked at being a lawyer, I was like, oh, there's a lot of writing that goes on, and a lot of, now reading I don't mind, comprehension a lot. There's reading, writing, comprehension, but there's the presentation component of being in court, and that I thrive on. If it were up to me, I would be in court every day. I would take arguments, I would present them, I would advocate for whichever side you want to place in front of me. I can find something good to say about it. So when I went to law school a long time ago, AI was barely becoming a thing. We could, in Ohio, I went to the University of Dayton in Ohio, and they had this smart home. And it was like, ooh, look at this smart home, ooh, it's a smart home. And it was like a home inside a box. So it was like this controlled environment where everything was controlled. And everyone looked at, you can get the smart air conditioning, right? Your garage can be linked to your phone. All of these ways that we were allowing access to the cloud and all these things to our everyday lives. So on the legal side of it, it was, where are you signing all the consents to waive all your privacy interests and all of these things, right? So from a very young attorney, I was very aware of like I'm that person that does read, when you're reading you gotta sign the bottom, and you're gonna read all of the fine print. I'm the person that goes, give me the phone, and we're gonna check here what we're signing up to. But What I love about AI right now is that in a closed setting, we have research tools that I can put in. It used to be, what's the magic sentence? And not even a full sentence, right? It's like, I'm looking for a case about dogs that incorporates neighbors that has the outcome of big money settlement. And, and you'd put in this whatever search words, and you'd hope and pray that in the sea of 2,000 cases that return, you'd get something that would match your client's position. Now, with AI counsel through Westlaw and LexisNexis, I can literally go, what is the law on neighbors with issues with animals? And I'm going to get state-specific, case-specific, pointing me to what we would call the black letter of the law, which is like just the law, and then different case scenarios that would allow me to say, okay, that's not like my client, this one's like my client, let me pull that case. So it is time saving. And then for the attorneys that can make it through law school, but maybe they don't want to be the courtroom litigator, or maybe people like me who I prefer not to write long briefs, I'm not an appellate type attorney, I want to be in the courtroom thinking fast, it allows us to have an even playing field. So we can use this tool to come in and say, you're getting it, I'm getting it, we're all having access to it. We can all write equally. I mean, I will say that there's cases here in Nevada, and we're seeing federal law coming down now that are challenging attorneys in their use of AI, because we are getting various individuals in the legal community that are going, AI, write my motion for me, make my arguments for me. That can be very sketchy because it's my license, right? I took a test. I promised I would become familiar with that law and that I would present law accurately. We have what's called hallucinations in AI in the legal community, where they're coming up with their own cases, and attorneys aren't fact-checking it, they're not cross-referencing, they're not going to the case and reading it and making sure it applies. So we have all these scenarios where it's very risky. And so that becomes, is it saving me time? Yes. What's the risk on the back end? On the other side, as a judicial officer, AI has opened the world to the access to justice, because now we have these ChatGPT that can guide you, that can say, in Nevada, there are forms for that. Here's a form from Nevada Legal Services, and here's how you can walk through that. Or here's this legal phrase, can you tell me what it means and what statute you're using for authority? So we're seeing the world kind of open up for that person who's representing themselves in the court, which is very important, because we want equal access. It shouldn't matter how much you can pay to get a lawyer, you should have good representation. So we're kind of, I feel like that's all of the sections, but right now I'm a hearing commissioner, so I just kind of go, what's your argument? And what's your argument? And I'll take that under advisement, and then I go in the back and make a decision. But I'm seeing it everywhere.
So, Catherine, I have a comment. You hit on a really important part, and it's the hallucination. Mm-hmm. And you have to, AI is wonderful, but you have to fact check.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
You have to validate.
Yes.
You have to read.
What's your name?
I'm Carla.
Carla, you are speaking to the crowd. I mean, and I think that sentiment goes to everything, right? We live in a day with that technology is coming to us fast, and before you know it, I'm like, well, she said that it's raining outside right now. Well, it must be raining, so I'm going to go on Amazon right now and buy all my raincoats and boots, and then we just spiral, right? But like, fact checking is so very important. The hallucination component is it's wild to me, but it's absolutely real. It needs to be checked. And we have to take that responsibility ourselves to make sure we're, holding ourselves accountable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think there's so many opportunities for AI in both the legal and the medical worlds, but those two realms specifically, there's also like so many ethical concerns, particularly around the hallucinations. So obviously a lot more work needs to be done, but we see hallucinations across the board. I mean, when my team members come to me and they're like, hey, this is ready, and I'm like, is it? And and then you see some weird stuff, like, no. So yeah.
Can I make a quick comment
Yes,
about that? So I
of course.
learned something at South by Southwest about these hallucinations and really fact checking. And so some hope for women Because there's probably a misconception that women can't use AI or women don't, older women can't. But the best users of AI are said to be women in their 50s.
Oh, wow.
Because you have enough experience
To go, no, that ain't right.
to go, no, that's actually inaccurate, incorrect.
Check the facts.
Fix it, go back, change prompts, right? So I thought that was fascinating to see, like, actually, women in their 50s have enough experience to say no and redo it. So
love that.
I love it, yeah.
That sounds like a mindset thing. Like, they're just like more like kind of built-in conscientiousness. Yes, Lauren.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I find that configuring the GPT reduces the amount of
The hallucinations. Yeah, that's a good point. Like if you are using open AI and you're just kind of opening like random chats versus configuring GPT specifically tailored to whatever purpose you're utilizing it for, it tends to hallucinate more if you're just opening up random chats for sure. And of course, like different AIs have, different benefits.
Yeah, I can take that really quickly. So it's the temperature parameter, which you do have control over. That will reduce hallucinations, but hallucinations are a feature, not a bug. The algorithms are probabilistic, so they are generating words for us, and they're very, very good at it, and it's somewhat of a creative algorithm. And so if we turn off hallucinations completely, it'll also be less valuable. So there's kind of a balance there. So I still encourage people to just like check the output like you were suggesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because it's like to some degree those quote unquote hallucinations could be viewed as like, okay, this is kind of like a creative or a unique output or something to reflect on, but then also you have to have that discernment to be like ascertain, okay, like this is not something I can necessarily implement in this particular context, but I might be able to in something else, or at least take the abstract idea that came out of this hallucination and implement it elsewhere. So very good points. Kat, so you've been at US Bank for a long time, I believe, over 2 decades now, right?
Yeah.
And you directly work with business owners. So how has technology kind of changed the way that you advise them and help them to access capital and financial resources?
Like I said, shorter the time, the more quality spent with the business owner, especially with the emails and all that stuff. But when clients come or prospects come with a beautiful business plan made by ChatGPT, and then I put it aside, I read it and put it aside, and I was like, tell me about your business. And I was like, okay, you say you're gonna make $1 million. What is your strategy? Well, isn't there? No, I want you to tell me because of what? Sometimes somebody else made that plan for you to make it appealing. And it's actually your idea, your story. How are you gonna launch that product or service? The approach, and also to make sure that if you're a retailer, your business plan is doable for a startup, mid-size, not Walmart, not Amazon, because I was, okay, those numbers are from Amazon. I was like, how are you gonna get to these numbers? What is the infrastructure that you already have? And that's how we help them. Also sometimes land the idea and more realistic, also stopping them up getting in too much debt when they don't have the right infrastructure to support the money that they're asking for. And having that one-on-one and being really real with them, because we want them to be successful. We don't want them to get into a lot of debt and later on I was, how that I'm paying this? And then you're putting your life, should I eat or should I pay this loan? So it helps, but also it can be the hallucination of an idea. And I was like, well, what do you think? What is your plan, your real plan? How do you, what have you done in the past? Sometimes we see now that business owners have a lot of experience in a certain industry. And they're like, well, because I already know that I'm a business owner, let me do a business plan for an industry that is not even close to the one that I have the experience. And you're like, okay, it's not the same. How are you gonna accomplish this? Who's your key players? in this, and it makes a better conversations, better to narrow down how to really help you and connect you to the right resources to have a bigger success on both ends, right? Because for us, it's the satisfaction of getting you to the next level, but also be realistic. What is that next level for you at this point of time is?
I have a quick follow-up. So are you finding that you're getting like more requests for support because people might be leveraging AI more than ever before, but yet they're not really able to articulate what it is that they're doing, like from their own perspective?
Yes. Technically, we became the therapist for business. So it's like, then they started open up. I was, okay, let's put this aside. Open up. What do you need right now? And it's more like, you know what, I'm struggling with this. Okay, let me connect you with this. Let me connect you with this other resource. And giving them also the idea, what is, when you come to the bank, what do you need? If you're coming to access to capital, I give you the T. And if you're missing a bucket, the first thing is, are your financials not working or your credit is not working? And if it's either, we need to work on this first before we submit an application, because we want that quality application. And for me to get to know you, and to get to know you, and also for you to be sincere and open and tell me the stuff, because we're gonna find out. Tell me in advance so we can pivot with you and clean whatever needs to be clean. Have an explanation of whatever hiccup, because especially in this town, we had 2008, 9, and 10, and then COVID. Things happen, and it's okay. But if you don't tell me that those things happen for me to help you, then we're gonna go, well, we gotta decline. Well, you didn't disclose this, and this. We wouldn't work on something before submitting. So being honest with your banker, I really advise any business owners to have a close relationship with your business banker at your bank and have that as your ally, because we're technically the advocates at the bank level, telling your story to the underwriters, to whoever makes the decision, and saying a yes, but it has to be based on that honesty on both ends, so we know the whole thing, so we can strategize for a better result.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Claire, so you're leading AI and automation at one of the biggest companies in Las Vegas. That's amazing. Congratulations to you, because I know it's a recent role.
Yeah, thank
so
you.
amazing. What does that look like? What does it involve? And how would you advise women who want to pursue similar roles as to you?
Yeah, great question. So everyone needs to lower their expectations. I'm 3 weeks into this role with MGM, so I'm still onboarding. But I have a lot of experience leading and scaling AI organizations. I worked for Twilio before that, and I worked with some startups. The advice I would give to women, and really anyone, the reason I think that I ascended the corporate ladder so quickly is I was solving the problems that brought AI to the consumer. And there are a lot of problems because it's a new technology. And so I started as an individual contributor. I was hands-on coding. I was tinkering with old school machine learning models before we had the power of AI that we see in tools like ChatGPT. And integrating those models into a business, whether it's a small startup or a large enterprise, at that time was very difficult because it wasn't just harnessing the power of the AI itself. It was all this software and engineering infrastructure. It was product management. We didn't know how to manage these products. We didn't know how to communicate with our stakeholders properly. There were so many different areas that could all be different roles within a team that we were still defining. And so when I was assigned to work on these kinds of projects, I didn't just look at my own piece of it, which was deliver this one trained model to produce this amount of accuracy. I looked at the entire project, and I felt a sense of ownership over every piece, from the engineering infrastructure to scale it, all the way to our end users who were going to integrate them into the workflow. I took time to sit down with stakeholders at a fashion company who were going to use it. They were going to use AI and machine learning to put together outfits for their customers. That's super fun. They were personal stylists. But I didn't know anything about that, and I was just the math kid that was there to help automate some of their workflows to make it more efficient. But what I did that I think really helped in that situation is I went and I sat down with those stylists and I said, teach me everything about what you're doing and what's painful for you today. So not only did I build a good relationship with the people who would be consuming my internal product, but I also learned a lot that helped me actually frame the solution I was giving them properly. And it was moments like that throughout my career that helped me kind of climb this ladder and get me to where I am today. And it's continuing because we are now solving a lot of unsolved problems within MGM, bringing in AI to a very old legacy company. And I'm going to have to face a lot of challenges, both with organizational, like who are we hiring, what are the skill sets, how do we operate as a team, how do we collaborate across teams, and then technology challenges as well. A lot of it is unsolved. And I think it's taking on that responsibility of solving it and working with a team to do that has really helped my career, and I would recommend it to other people. So look big picture, look for a problem, solve it, and you'll probably excel from there.
Love that. It really sounds like curiosity, value add, and collaboration.
Yeah, definitely the collaboration piece. Like I had to learn a lot from different functions within the business to be able to bring value. So that was very valuable.
Love that. Well, this has been such a fabulous conversation. Give a round of applause to our fabulous panelists. Thank you, guys. So if Lorraine will allow, we may have a little bit of time for Q&A. Will you allow it? Do we have your permission? Okay. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to open it up to some questions. All right, we already have one. Can you introduce yourself, what company you're with, and then provide your question?
Yeah, my name is Perry Love. I work for a cloud company. I'm a software engineer in the AI space, specifically with Copilot. And I think lately I'm a millennial, so I'm coming from this shift of like we had no internet to this is the AI world now, right?
We had AOL dial-up, hello. No internet. Okay, we had MySpace, we had LiveJournal, Friendster.
We came from no internet.
The X-Gen.
But I think like I'm diverting back to like a lot more like I'm reading physical books. I'm trying to like ground myself in a lot more of like what is now because AI is expanding so big. And I'm seeing like it hit multiple industries, obviously in multiple different ways. But I think what I'm struggling with is like outside of the personal productivity, I can have it write an email, I can have it automate things, I can have it schedule my tasks for me and do all these things. But like, how are you using it for your productivity and introducing that to like your field specifically? So like in health tech, it would be great if like, is there a way that you teach your patients or whatever how they can use AI to benefit themselves in a certain way, or like in the LinkedIn space, like how are they using it in that way? Like I know I think I personally, me and Claire, I'm LinkedIn connected with her, so I think I understand where she comes from. But like some of the other industries, I'm like outside of personal productivity, how is it on a grander scale helping?
I help people in their mental health crisis, but I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So for me, when I'm in my court hearing, I have my internet up, right? And I will literally be like, oh, I hear a medical term or a psychiatric phrase. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because I'm never going to lose the need to connect on a human level. But I also love to understand what I'm talking about and what I'm explaining. It is more than, for me, if somebody says, oh, they're acting bizarre and psychotic, okay, I need more than that, right? And the law requires details. So, but then when I get those details, there's a lot of medical terms that can cause psychosis and cause psychiatric symptoms. So then it becomes this world that is just so far beyond me. Right? Even with a law degree and wearing a robe and having a gavel, I'm the not smartest person in the room. So I use my AI, my ChatGPT in that way. I have it up and open and I'm typing. But I use it as a guide because I do have a doctor or a medical professional in the room as well testifying. So it's usually a way to prompt more. But that's how because I am a reader, a writer, I wanna understand where I'm coming at when I'm connecting with a person. But that's my guidance is like to help me create thought or question or guide me as I'm still connecting with my written pen. I have pens everywhere.
So with healthcare, one of the things which we have to all realize, AI is just a tool to achieve what you have to do, right? And when you're in healthcare, you're not there to teach patients AI, really, okay? The patients are trusting the technology, but eventually we want the doctors to be involved in it. So a lot of times we put up a wall where we are not giving final diagnosis to a patient, right? Because the doctor is the one who takes ownership of the patient's health, which is where we empower the doctor and we guide patients to basically lead a healthier lives, but not to use AI per se. So one of the things we have to realize, it's a toolkit in your belt, and you're using that toolkit, just as a plumber who has multiple of these tools under their belt. And that's how we are using AI. But the final goal is to make sure the patient is healthy. And that can be achieved in multiple ways and not just purely AI. One other thing and aspects in healthcare we have to take a look at, there's ethics in AI, which has to be really kept a good eye on. In fact, when I was doing my studies, one of the things at that time when ChatGPT had just come out, like 2003, and one of the discussions we were having is if a car is driving, okay, self-driven car, and it's about to have an accident, and there are two people walking, and there's a woman who's pregnant, where should the car go, right? So those are the questions AI hasn't answered yet. Correct? So because of that, you don't want to expose the final user to all the AI because there's a lot of ethics involved. There's a lot of traceability which has to happen in healthcare, which is why currently people rely on AI, as patients rely on AI with a doctor in the center, because that gives the ownership to a person who actually looks at the AI output and decides this is correct or this is wrong according to the experience. So hope that answers your question.
Amazing. Do we have time for one more question, or are we at time officially?
Past time. Do we have another question? Okay, Shaq has a question. Well, let Shaq ask the question.
Yeah, because Shaq is awesome. Shout out for Shaq.
These been amazing. Really, just a lot of events here. I wasn't texting. I was actually just fiercely kind of taking a little stuff by snippets here. I guess it seems like you guys have had, such amazing life experience. Other than kind of books, do you have any recommendations? I mean, you've obviously, before AI got to where you are, any recommendations or books that maybe changed the trajectory of your lives?
Why don't you go down the line?
So I just graduated 1.5 years back doing my MBA, so I'm done with books for a little bit of time when I say academically, but recently I read 0 to 1 because I'm building a business, and it definitely helped out to see how to start, because we are an early stage startup, so how do we take it before we scale, because the business problems which happen from 0 to 1 are much different than when you're trying to scale. So that helped me out very well.
This isn't really a business book. This is more of a how do I want to live my life kind of recommendation. It is Trisha Hershey's Rest is Resistance. And the idea that it's not just about forcing things forward, constantly optimizing, creating, building, doing, that especially because I very much am a champion for people of color and women, so gender and racial equity is the work I focus on. And that can feel like so exhausting, right? And sometimes, again, being a daughter of immigrants, I'm trained to work hard, put your head down, go, right? And frankly, unfortunately, that has had negative consequences on my health, right? And so my values have changed. I'm focused more on that, but if I could go back into my 20s and 30s, I would be like, dang, right? What was the point of building a business? What was the point of, climbing the ladder in my career? It's so I can have a good life, right? And so the idea of being able to, what does it look like to still be in rest and still have a community to also pass on some of that work to when you need to pass that baton so you can pause and then come back into the work. Because it's not about leaving the work, right? It's it's rejuvenating yourself. It's be able to gain that energy and capacity for something so that you can come back, because it's not going to end in my lifetime. I know, like the equities I want to see are not going to fully be there, and so that's been a nice read to be able to like understand the importance of the power of the pause, if you will, so that you can come back into whatever you are building and whatever you're moving forward again and again.
So I try not to read a lot of thick books because I think I'm done with reading for a majority of my life. But I have small children. I have a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we are all about book story time. It's one of my favorite stories from the children's section. It's called The Rabbit That Listened. I think it's called The Rabbit Listened. And it's a story about a little boy who was building something. He's building like this block house, and it gets destroyed. And he is overwhelmed with emotion. And what happens throughout the story is he has individuals that come into his life and try to give him the emotion he should be expressing, and whether it works or does not work. The boy will say, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like screaming today. I don't feel like hurting someone else because I was hurt. But these people come and go and come and go. And then at the end of the story, the rabbit comes and he just sits. He doesn't say anything. He's just silent with the little boy. And eventually the boy starts to open up about the feelings that he's having and the emotions he's willing to express. And so then the little boy starts expressing whatever those emotions are. And the takeaway for me is that so many times in our life, we have incidents that don't go our way, experiences that we wish would have went in a different way, and we have a load of emotions, and we have people that are standing next to us going, everything's gonna be okay, just stop, have a little cry, but you gotta keep moving. And it's like, maybe that's not the emotion we wanna feel. So creating that space to surround ourselves with people that we trust, that we're safe with, to experience our emotions when we are ready and that are true to what we want to experience instead of being told how we're supposed to experience. So that's when my son says, I want to listen to The Rabbit Listened, I'm like, sign me up. Let's talk about emotions.
Same thing for me. In the 90s, I came across a book that it was The Emotional Tone Scale by Ronald L. Hopper, part of Scientology. But that book teaching me all the levels of emotion and what happens when you interact, how that you should alternate the emotion when somebody is angry, really give me that head start. Started looking at people and not react when I know they come from a broken place, and have more empathy to actually wait them to cool down and then be able to have a conversation to get to them. And I think that was one of the greatest books, because I use it when I have my kids. I was like, ooh, confusion, I know. I was like, tell me what's wrong. And then they open up and they stop crying. And I was like, perfect, it worked. So one of the greatest books.
One that comes to mind is Radical Candor. This is one that has helped me with my, I guess what we're calling executive level communication these days. So just learning to communicate more direct as a woman has helped me a lot. There's another engineering culture book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's from Pixar. It's about fostering a creative culture on tech teams, so that one was really important. Yeah, I think those are my top. One last thing, because they handed the mic to me at the end, I do want to let folks know I am hiring. I have funding to build out multiple engineering teams. I'm looking for AI engineers and product managers, so if you are interested, come talk to me. A lot of these roles are not posted yet. If you're on my LinkedIn, send me your resume. I'd love to see it.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you for all of those great books. Because, it is Women's Month, I want to shout out a book that I've really enjoyed, which is Undaunted by Kara Golden, the founder of Hint Water, because her story is incredible and how she was able to get Hint to market. And it was not easy. So for all the ladies in the room, highly recommend that book, because it is a story of resilience, let me tell you. And I want to thank all of my panelists. I want to thank for Lorraine for all of her great work in building this community. Big round of applause for Lorraine. And
Round of applause for the panelists, please. That was amazing. Some really insightful conversation.
Yes, great conversation. And just real quick, there are some cards on the tables scattered about with some QRs. So myself and my co-founder Lauren are offering complimentary visibility audits for all of the founders in the room, and that can pertain to both yourself as a personal brand as well as your company. We generally charge quite a bit of money for these, so I suggest opting in for a complimentary basis. It's not going to be forever. And thank you. All right.
Thank you, everybody. Massive round of applause. Okay, guys, don't leave the room yet. We're not done yet. We're over time, but don't leave the room. No, you guys go take your seats, but don't leave. Thank you again for the amazing panel. Round of applause.